He is characterizing the DOJ as engaging in election interference. And you've made the argument to me that the election interference argument and the witch hunt argument actually aren't separate arguments.
Not anymore. So we used to talk about Donald Trump accusing folks of election interference when they were doing things that were actually electoral, right? Like dead people voting or somehow Dominion falsifying votes in their voting machines and the like. What Trump has done is pivoted away from accusations of actual election fraud and instead married the dominant trope of his presidency and his life as a politician. They're after me. This is a witch hunt, and merged that into election interference. And here's why. Because many of the things that happened in the 2020 election that he characterized as fraud, he now knows they weren't fraudulent at all. It's perfectly legal, for example, to ballot harvest in many states. Stephen Miller has gone on record saying Republicans need to do these things that Democrats have done successfully. Trump knows that too, and that's why he's going to say instead, the election interference now is the way in which the Justice Department and other prosecutors are pursuing him. It's a way of continuing this theme of election interference, but pivoting to a different way of explaining what exactly the interference is.
Right, so long as people are distracted from what actually happened. Here's what I want to do. I want to walk through the other cases and your sense of timeline. So it is my sense, based on analysts that I have read and listened to, that it is likely that Special Counsel Jack Smith brings the 1-6 case next. And then we look at Fani Willis, and then in the background, there are the other cases. Is that your sense as well?
I don't know. Because, for example, we see news this week that Steve Bannon was just subpoenaed to testify before a grand jury. On the other hand, we know that there is a mountain of evidence that DOJ has already collected in the January 6th investigation. What I will say is this, Alicia. We know that Jack Smith has a keen sense of timing and that he knows that he is running up against an electoral clock, right? And because of that, my money might be on him to go next and before Fani Willis in August, which is when she has communicated to the judges of Fulton County she expects there to be some action in her case.
So talk to me then about the second component of this, which is the interplay between these cases, right? If they all like go from being on the back burner to actually being active, what does that then mean?
Right. And there's no rule or even practice that compels judges in different areas of the country, in different judicial systems, to communicate with each other about who goes first. So, for example, we already know Trump has a civil trial here in New York in October. It's the New York Attorney General's case. That's the $250 million fraud case. We talk all the time about doing substantial damage to Trump Inc. as an enterprise. It may be that it would be more advantageous for the Department of Justice if Tish James were willing to step aside. But that it requires a judge to be willing to postpone their calendar, right? And we don't know, are these judges going to get on the phone with each other? Are they going to coordinate together? In some respects, each of these prosecutors is going to lose some control over timing based on when they charge and what else happens in their case, what motion practice happens, for example, and just how fast discovery and the like runs.